All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show where you have me and the GOAT B-Dub. And I always say it, but between the two of us, we've had multiple 4, 5, and 6-figure wins. So you're like, why am I listening to these two guys? That's a pretty good reason if you ask me. But man, it feels good to be back. We have a
Man,
nice 2-game slate on deck. How are you feeling, Brandon?
I can't even put into words just how excited I am that NBA is finally back. This is just my time of the year, and like I said, this is our bread and butter. We play a lot of other sports, but this is home for sure. So feels good
Yeah.
to be back.
Yeah, like I love NFL, especially after a good week where everything went the way we wanted it to. But NBA is where home really is for us. And so basically on this show, y'all, I'm sharing my screen. I'll show you all what I'm doing in the optimizer, which is uh, what I use, is what Brandon uses, is what all of us have used to have takedowns. We partner and we work with DFS Army. So link in the description if you're interested in that. The promo code, if you want a discount on being able to access the optimizer, is NBA Flash, right, Brandon? Okay.
Yep.
For a 25% discount. And you can just follow along. For me, my settings in the DS are a little bit more extreme. I'm a GPP player to my core. I'm always a little bit risky, but Brandon will talk through what his strategy is. I always recommend, if you're newer to DFS, definitely follow what Brandon is doing uh, a bit more, just so you can kind of follow along a little bit easier and you won't have the volatile nights that I typically have. All right, Brandon, how are you feeling about this 2-game ranking? Can you talk to me a little bit about what you're doing in the domination station settings wise to start off?
Yep. So I pretty much keep it simple for my settings. So I switch to tournament mode.
Mm-hmm.
I keep it on one unique, and then I do not touch anything else. No randomization. I don't touch ownership cap, salary cap, nothing else. Because the way I play and run my lines is I control each and every one of my. Well, I won't say every single one of them, because some of what the DS gives me, I'm definitely okay with, but it might not always give me some guys who aren't popping, who might be low owned, that I just have a gut feeling on, which we'll talk about a few of those for tonight. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the only other thing I do is I'll force some ins on certain guys that the DS might not be giving me. But disclaimer on that, you don't want to do too much of those, because that's when your lines will start getting wonky, and when you bog the DS down with so many rules, you're just not going to get great lineups. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to add mins.
Yeah, and that's what I always tell people. You'll see I do a lot of mins. I play with the DS because I've been using this thing for years at this point. But if you're newer, just kind of listen to B-Dub, do the likes, some dislikes here and there, maybe a couple of mins, a couple of maxes, but not too much. Because once you go too far, it's really hard to come back.
I try not to
So,
get too crazy tonight, but I feel like I was kind of borderline adding too much.
uh-oh, uh-oh.
We'll
And that's
see.
the thing, y'all. This is a 2-game slate. We're starting off the NBA season. You have to realize that there is an edge where you can take some risk, but at the end of the day, no one truly knows what these rotations will look like tonight. It's just an educated guessing game. So there's a little bit more risk than there already is in gambling. So don't play too heavy tonight. Make sure you leave yourself some room for later this week, early next week, when we're really going to take off. But before we jump into these games, y'all in the chat, it's good to see y'all. I've seen a lot of y'all here for a long time. Cujo, Phil's busy, Stephen B, Dixon, I think we're on the same page here a little bit. Yo Mama's Fave, we'll get to some of these questions. Don't worry. Definitely at the end of the show, I'll try and go back through all of these. I appreciate that, Dixon. Making sure people know I'm on my way. C. Thomas, nice. Glad you joined Army. Happy to help you out. And the coaches in the Discord is where it's at. Every single one has had a ton of takedowns, so definitely do take in that information.
And we're
Yeah.
actually active and answer questions. We won't ignore you. So
Yeah, they're quick on it too, which is nice. Let's see here. Good to see y'all, man. Love it. Raz, you too. Let's get to this slate. We have 2 games, and we have a lot of time. There's no need to rush through it, but we definitely have some interesting spots. For me, when I look at these two games, I prefer the Warriors-Lakers game versus the Rockets-Thunder game, just when it comes to preference. I also low-key already bet the under on that Rockets game because I feel like that total's a little high. But I'm really trying to prioritize that Warriors-Lakers game. But starting off with the Rockets-Thunder, let's start off with the Rockets side. Brandon, how are you feeling about the Rockets at this point?
So yeah, as a whole, just kind of like you said, I prefer the second game over this one. And exposure wise, I don't have as many Rockets as I do some of the other teams, but there are definitely some spots I feel like we can attack for sure. So one of my favorite plays on this team, and I wish he was a bit lower in price, but I believe he's good enough to pay it off, if not do more than pay it off, and that's Amen Thompson. We know Van Vliet is out all season, and when they shift Amen to a point, he takes advantage of that every single time. He's pretty tall too, so he does a little bit of everything on this team, and he's definitely a stat sheet stuffer. So I put I didn't go quite as high as you. I got 40% min on him just to make sure I'm slightly over the field. That was just kind of the sweet spot I got to not really mess with my other exposures. So I do like him quite a bit. And then there are a few other mins I put on. Şengün is one. He's another guy I wish was a bit cheaper, but he's definitely going to continue to be one of the key pieces on this offense. And he not saying he's going to get one tonight, but he's somebody who can definitely get a triple double. He has that potential. So I have a 15% min on him. And then KD, I think a lot of people are worried about how he's going to fit on this team, but I'm sure the price is probably why he's a bit lower owned as well. But I have a 15% min on him just because I still think he's going to find his own way to score the ball efficiently. So especially since it's a two-gamer, somebody like KD who can break the slate, I just want to make sure I have some kind of exposure to him. And he's somebody I'm not afraid of being over the field on. And then one last guy, my favorite piece off the bench, and I just don't see how he's not going to be in that six-man role. That's Reed Shepherd, and I'm going way over the field. I have 20% right now, but
Okay.
I'm honestly thinking about going higher because right now we have him at 6%. So that's just crazy to me for the potential role he'll have here. I know it's a big question mark this year, but I'm just putting my eggs in his basket pretty early. So
yeah. This Rockets team is an interesting one. We only have one team's official starting lineup yet. And that one team's official starting lineup is from the Rockets. And we found out that the Rockets are going to start Amen Thompson at point guard, Kevin Durant at shooting guard, Jabari Smith at the 3, Şengün at the 4, and Steven Adams at the 5. Huge team. And so that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing the field see Steven Adams, 4,200. He's a starter. We're going to play a ton of him. He's a value play. And then you're seeing the other starters kind of get some exposure too, or get some ownership. And then, like you said, Brandon, people are a little low on KD and Şengün. Right now, I am too, just because of that price tag. But on a two-game slate, price doesn't matter. It's also just a difficult matchup with them going up against the Thunder. And I ultimately just wanted to prioritize guys from that second game a bit more. With that being said, guys who are a little bit cheaper, I'm going very, very over the field on. Amen Thompson, I have a 60% min on. You talked about him already. With him playing the point some tonight, he should be involved in getting points in a multitude of ways. 7,900 on a two-game slate just doesn't seem expensive enough. I'm not complaining about it, but I want to be all over that. Is there a world where he disappoints us and he's just a cardio machine? We've seen him do that before. Yeah, but on a two-gamer, I'm just going to kind of go heavy on my leans, and this feels like a spot where he's just a bit too cheap, even in a tough matchup. Reed Shepherd, you touched on it. Reed Shepherd isn't starting, which makes him much more of a risk, but with Steven Adams starting, he typically doesn't play a ton of minutes. And so with Steven Adams in the starting lineup, I think he probably should get switched out pretty early on. And Reed Shepherd should be that guy who moves up to be the starting point. There is a world where they get a little bit weirder with it. If Shepherd isn't out there relatively early on, this play is looking a lot worse. But that's what early season NBA is. Taking shots on where I think the field is off on the rotation. And so I'm with you, Brandon. I have a 15% min on him right now. I'm with you. I'm going to up that to 20. He's a leverage play for me on this slate, and I'm just going to double down on it. If I'm wrong, and Steven Adams does see plenty of run and does well in this matchup, he's only 4,200, doesn't have to do too much. I also put a 25% min on him too, because he wasn't showing up around field weight exposure for me. And I'm willing to take risk, but I don't want to be completely out if the value play goes off tonight. So,
couple, because I see some comments in the chat, which I definitely just skipped over them. So I'm definitely okay with Jabari Smith and Eason. Both of them are nice line fillers. I'm about even with the field on Jabari, and I did put a 25% min on Eason because when he does see the minutes, and I think he will for sure, he's pretty close to one of up there with Shepherd as one of my favorite guys off the bench. And we know when he sees the minutes, he's a great points per minute guy. So he definitely has slate breaking upside that I don't want to miss out. So I do like both of those guys as well.
Yeah, Jabari is a little scoring dependent. That's always the only concern I have with him. And last year he had some injury woes, but this year he should be pretty healthy. And like everyone's saying, he played pretty well in the preseason. Jabari was showing up in almost every single lineup I made. So I did put a 50% cap on him just because he's in that 5K range of fill-in players. And I just wanted a nice mixture of those guys. I didn't want to go too high on any one of them. But Jabari is towards the upper echelon of those 5K plays for sure.
Yeah, one thing I'm curious with him, because I don't know if you've caught any clips, but I've seen a lot of videos on Twitter with him like glued to KD's hip and then just trying to like learn and be a sponge when it comes to learning from him. So curious to see if he can apply any of that to the game tonight.
Yeah. And when we just look at the exposures, Amen Thompson showing up around 60% for me. Jabari Smith, you can see even with the cap, I'm still going to be over the field on him. Steven Adams is now showing up in about 32% of my lines. Eason, I don't have the 25% min on him, but he's showing up in 16% of my lines, and that's just going to have to be enough. And then Reed, we talked about, that will go up in the next run. And I have a little bit of a Kogi. I don't expect him to see too much run, but at 3K, I'm not going to make a rule to not have that. Anything else you want to touch on with the Rockets here?
Nope.
All right. Next up, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. Same team as last year. They're missing Jalen Williams without the Y. They're also missing like Isaiah Joe. Not really anything else matters too much here. What was your approach with the Thunder tonight?
I didn't have too many mins on this side of the ball. Some of them were popping exactly where I wanted them. So Hartenstein, I'll start with him. He's probably my favorite play value-wise on this team. 5,400 is just a great price. He's going to have to do a lot tonight, especially, I mean, you already touched on how big of a line that Houston will be running. So he's going to be needed big time in that situation. And he's a great rebounder, and we know he can score the ball too down low. So definitely like him quite a bit. SGA, I didn't purposely fade him, but the DS is giving me around 30%, slightly under that. And I'm honestly okay with it because Amen is a great defender, one of the best in the league. I know it's SGA, so he's somebody who I don't get too concerned with matchups for, but I think Amen is good enough to at least slow him down to where SGA is not going to put up some crazy numbers. I think he'll still get his, but the question you have to ask is he going to get enough to pay this price tag off? And then Just to jump ahead a bit, I do love Luka tonight quite a bit, so I'm just prioritizing Luka a bit more than SGA. But if you want to play SGA, I of course I wouldn't talk you out of it. So um, overall, no issues with him. And then the only other ones I put him in on, he always concerns me, but it is a 2-gamer. Lou Dort, I was getting like 10%, if that. So he's somebody I wanted to be closer to the field on. So I did put a 30% min on him, just because when he does play well and his shot is falling, along with the defense he plays, he can definitely pay off this 4,400 price tag off. And then Jalen Williams is my sneaky play on this team at 5%. I went double the field and I have a 10% min on him for the reasons that I said when I was talking about Hartenstein. I think I know we only have him for 13 minutes, but there is a possibility he could see more than that if they're trying to match Houston's size. And we've seen a lot of games last season where Jalen stepped in and this dude just absolutely smashed. I remember he was like priced out the ceiling because he was playing so well. So he's probably my favorite sneaky play on this side of the ball. And then
Yeah.
I'm okay. I didn't do anything else with anyone else, but guys like Caruso, Wiggins, Chet, they're all viable tonight. And I just kind of let the DS dictate how much of those guys I get.
Yeah. The tough thing about the Thunder is that they use everybody on the team. You'll see with like the Rockets, and is there another team on the slate? Yeah, really the Rockets. The Rockets have a pretty small rotation, or they should, is what we're expecting. Whereas the Thunder have proven time and time again they're willing to use any and everybody, which means everyone has to be in consideration here. Honestly, SGA would have been a pretty easy fade for me if Jalen Williams played tonight. It just would have been an easy fade. But with him out, SGA's usage goes up about 5%, which is sizable, even for a player that already has a gigantic usage rate. And so that's what makes this actually a decision for me. This being such a tough matchup is what lowered my excitement about SGA. And ultimately, I'm locking Luka tonight. And so because of that, I can't afford both of them in too many lineups. It's just the way it is. So my approach here, I have a 15% min on SGA because he wasn't showing up once I locked Luka. And I don't love that super expensive build, but I like having some exposure to it. Chet's a little too pricey for me. I like playing Chet in soft matchups. This is a real defense here with the Rockets. He could surprise me. I'm not expecting it. Isaiah Hartenstein, I'm with you. Fantastic play, especially if the Rockets are going heavy with two bigs. I capped him at 80. Maybe it's because I've been burned by him before. We've seen plenty of times before in the past where he just goes ghost. Maybe the Thunder don't actually want to play big against the Rockets bigs to see how things play out. And so I wasn't going to allow him to be in 99% of my lines because I just didn't want to be pissed off, to be honest. So I still am going to be over the field on him, but there's a line. There's a line. Outside of that, like you, I didn't really do anything to Kaysen Wallace. Aaron Wiggins, I think, is a good play on this slate at 5K, but didn't have to do anything in the DS. Alex Caruso, I put a 50% cap on because he was also showing up in every single line of mine. And just like Isaiah Hartenstein, he's burned me before in the past too by just going ghost. It also wouldn't shock me. They just don't give him a lot of run. We saw it in the playoffs, the NBA finals. They would play him 30 plus minutes one game, the next none. So if anyone's telling you they know how much Caruso is going to play tonight, they're lying because no one does. We just don't freaking know. So I had to limit my exposure there. But again, still going to be over the field. And then I'm with you. I like the Lou Dort call. He also, there's no real analysis here besides Lou Dort tends to smash on these small slates for whatever reason. So I'm going to follow your lead. I won't do the full 30, but I did a 20% min there. And then with the Jalen Williams call, I put a 5% min on him. Same thing, just in case he does see a few more minutes here than everyone's expecting. When it comes to who actually shows up in lineups, you can see Isaiah showing up around 75%, vast majority of my lines. Caruso right at 49. Wiggins 47%, so decent leverage there. SGA, super under the field, makes me nervous, but we'll see. Lou Dort, we just forced exposure to, so he'll show up a bit more. Ajay Mitchell showing up in about 6% of my lines. That feels appropriate. Looks like his ownership's going to be a bit higher because everyone's really trying to find those beautiful value plays, but he's not someone I'm going to prioritize. I'm just happy he's showing up where he is. Chet's in 2% of my lines, and then Brooks Barnheiser is also showing up in 1% of my lines as well. So no one's really a full fade or anything like that. It's just, again, prioritizing that next game. Anything else you want to touch on here, Brandon?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Last game on the slate. Only two. There's this Warriors team. Pretty healthy. We saw them look pretty good last year. The biggest question mark for me is what are they going to do with these bigs? I just feel like it's going to piss me off with whatever they do. We know Kuminga, I believe, is the best big they have, but they don't usually love giving him too much run. Draymond Green is here, but he's getting older. So do we start to see a few less minutes there? And then Al Horford's the new addition. We know he typically doesn't play too much these days, but he's going to be in the mix. How are you treating the Warriors, Brandon?
Yeah, this was another team that I wasn't too thrilled about, but there are a couple pieces that I do like. So I'll start with Draymond. He's just another guy who's a great price, and with all he does on the team, I do worry about him scoring offensively because he's not known for being a scorer. But as far as like his rebounds and assists, he is at a good enough price to where I'm comfortable having a lot of him tonight for it being a 2-gamer. As far as Curry and Butler, I will be under the field on them. I did put a 10% min on both of them, and that's more so just FOMO with it being a 2-game slate because, again, both of those guys, especially Curry, both have slate breaking upside. So if they do go off, at least I have some lines that will be alive, but I'm just banking on other guys around their price performing better than them in this spot tonight. So not too thrilled with them. And one thing I'll say specifically about Curry is if you're playing on FanDuel, I do think he's way too cheap over there. And I do have a lot of Curry on FanDuel, so I wanted to put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, love that.
And then Kuminga, he was the only other one I put him in on. So I know when it comes to Kerr, it's hard to trust anything he says, but I'm just playing the narrative of with them finally paying him and giving him his extension. And we did get news that they're leaning towards Kuminga starting over Horford at 16% ownership. I'm just taking that risk and going over the field because when Kuminga sees the minutes, we know he can smash his price tag. So he's kind of somebody else that I feel like is getting slept on for the potential he has in this spot. And then I do have a decent amount of Gary Payton as well. He's only 3,200, but I didn't go out of my way to force him or anything. He's more so just a line filler. Yeah. And Podzinski, I'm just letting the DS give me what it gives me on him.
Yeah, this Lakers team defensively, they improved a little bit towards the end of last season, but I still think they're going to be pretty bad against bigs. And my biggest question there was just clarity on the situation. And ultimately, I think you're right. Kuminga, I almost made him a leverage play earlier today, but then I was just trying to find a reason. I was just like, it doesn't really make a ton of sense of like his price tag and things like that. What min do you have on him?
Well, I just noticed the ownership on your screen, so I refreshed to DS because I haven't refreshed him. I'm sad to see it went up to 25%.
Yeah, but he's chalky.
Yeah, I guess people, once they saw that news, they kind of jumped on that. But I'm probably going to still keep 30%. So I'll be a little over the field, but nothing crazy. Because, again, you can only trust so much of what Kerr says, but I feel like 30% is still a good enough number to where if he goes off, we'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, I like that. Good call. Definitely going to follow you with that 30% min on Kuminga. And then it's day one of the NBA. These superstars are going to show up. And so I put a 20% min on Curry. I might boost. No, I'm just going to leave it at 20. I just need exposure. That's it. He's pricey. He's expensive. But no one on the Lakers worries me too much. The worst thing is the Lakers should play at a slow pace to kind of match Luka's style. But I think they're going to try and play fast. And so assuming they do that, that's really when Curry shines. And so I just wanted to make sure I had exposure to him. Outside of that, I didn't do anything else on the DS. I did put a 50% cap on Draymond because I don't trust these bigs. And do I even need reasons for why I'm worried about Draymond? Like, people are talking about him in the chat. He's going to get himself ejected. I doubt that. I hope. But I'm just going to put a 50% cap on him. I don't want him in 99% of my lines. I'm just comfortable being closer to field weight exposure. But with that being said, Draymond is my highest owned warrior on the slate. So take that as you will. Gary Payton, like you said, I'm over the field on him. We don't really know what this rotation will look like. He could have a big fat 0, but assuming he is going to be part of the rotation, so cheap, I'm willing to take some shots. We talked about Curry already, and I have like 6% Jimmy Butler. I have that 30% min on Kuminga, so he'll go up a bit more, and then a little bit of Santos. Just one of those spots where I'm not going to force in guys like Butler or Podziemski. Would it shock me if they go off? No, but there isn't really anything pointing towards that happening, and so I'm just going to focus on Curry and Kuminga here. One thing I will say is Steph Curry's, his points per game, fantasy points per game, actually went up when Jimmy Butler joined this team. So I know some people are like, oh, well, Jimmy Butler's playing, I don't want to play Curry. There's actually some positive correlation there. So that's pretty much how I'm treating these guys. Last team, the Lakers. A few question marks here. Some preseason darlings. How are you treating these guys?
So I'll start with the obvious skinny Luka now. Can't call him fat Luka anymore.
Really?
And it's just pretty simple on this team when it comes to Luka. If LeBron is out, especially on a 2-gamer, just play Luka. And that's all I'm going to say about him. So I didn't lock him. I don't hate that you locked him, but I'm fluctuating between 70 and 80%. So I'll still have plenty. Austin Reeves is the next guy up on this team and should be second behind Luka. He's just another guy who smashes when LeBron's out. He can do a little bit of everything on this team, and I do like him quite a bit. And I think I'm around field weight on him. Ayton, I didn't have to do too much with him. I'm fluctuating between 30 and 40%. He always concerns me, especially offensively, but he did look a little better towards the end of preseason. So I'm hoping he's just aggressive offensively, and just comparing him to the front court on Warriors, like he should be able to smash in the spot, especially at 6,300. That is a nice price for his potential upside. And then the rest of these guys, I typically don't like doing this, but somebody, one of these value pieces, if not two, will be in the nuts. Like, I'm pretty confident about that. But the tricky thing is, like, we don't know how rotations are going to be with some of these guys. Like, Gabe Vincent is supposed to start, but he very well could suck like he has in the past. And then JJ can go with Marcus Smart over him. So that's a high potential. You never know who's going to smash between Rui and Vandy. They have LaRavia in the mix now too. So pretty much what I did with a lot of the value pieces here is I put them in to match the field. I'm not confident enough to go like super heavy on any of these guys for the reasons I just said, but I at least wanted to be field weight just so I'm covered. So yeah. I'm not leaning any one way or other on these value guys.
Yeah, this section right here is why I gave the warning I did. That I do some crazy stuff sometimes, and it does not mean you should follow. I just share what I do. That's it. I am locking Luka Doncic. I don't think that's that crazy. I don't think we need to talk through how Luka Doncic is good about LeBron James. He's freaking great. He's skinny now. Maybe we'll play at a faster pace. Who knows? But yeah, that's clear as day to me. Could something terrible happen? Yes. That's why you probably shouldn't lock him, but that's my plan here. Next, after that, when we just look at who I have exposure to, my Reeves exposure did fall a good bit once I locked Luka. He fell down to like 36%. I'm comfortable being slightly under the field. Reeves is pretty hit or miss, but he's priced well. He will still be in the vast majority of my lines, so if he goes off, I'll still have a chance to take something down. DeAndre Ayton. Like you said, Brandon, we cannot trust this man to save our lives, but he's on a new team. That's really the only positive here. Being on a new team, we're hoping for a miracle. 6,300 just feels a little low from a price standpoint, especially going up against this Warriors team where I'm not afraid to play bigs against them. I want to be heavy on Ayton. I want to be early to him going off. That's pretty much the reasoning there. Rui, Marcus Smart, Connect, Vanderbilt, that little trio of four, it's anyone's guess on who gets hot. Sometimes we've seen teams of Luka on it where he's just having a day. No one else really goes off besides Luka. That could easily happen here. Hopefully it's Luka and Ayton for my selfish benefit. But I just want exposure to these guys. I don't, like you said, I don't have a strong lean one way or the other because it's going to be whoever gets hot. I've seen Rui have big games. I've seen Vanderbilt have big games. All these guys we've seen flash. So it's more so I just want exposure in my MMEs. And with me prioritizing Luka the way I am, I don't really have to worry about being too chalky too much. So I have that 10% min on Rui, 10% min on Marcus Smart. And then I didn't cap anyone. Let's see who else is showing up. Jake LaRavia, he's just your value play. We don't know what these rotations are going to look like too much yet. Where do you have LaRavia?
Yeah, I was just curious because he's been fluctuating, but I'm at 43% currently.
Yeah, so slightly over the field. If he goes off, that's more of a DS play than anything. Like I don't feel overly passionate about him. Reeves, we talked about. Vanderbilt, I'm also over the field on. And again, I'm okay with this because I'm prioritizing this game. So if it burns me, it burns me. It's a 2-game slate. I'm trying to play hard here. Rui is showing up in 15% of my lines, right at field weight. Gabe Vincent, 15, 14%, right at field weight. Marcus Smart, your value point guard, right at 10%. Who's the guy? No, I'm not really missing anybody. So like everyone's showing up pretty much exactly where I want them to show up. And that's pretty much my game plan here. We will answer some questions for you all if there's nothing else you want to mention, Brandon.
Yep, I'm good.
All right. First one is Dixon. He said, Rui or Buddy? The bum.
Yeah, Rui for me, his situation is just way better. And I typically don't like playing Buddy unless Curry is out.
Yeah.
Or Butler.
For me, I don't really love Hield unless he starts, which I haven't seen any news of that happening. And I doubt he will at this point.
No.
J69. What's up, man? Good to see you. OG, he's like, we're back. Who's the G14 classified player tonight? For me, I really like Amin, if we're not going to count the lock on Luka. Do you have a favorite play, Brandon?
Just for ownership's sake, my favorite low-owned play on the slate is Reed Shepherd because he's still holding 5% ownership. So
yeah. He's also a leverage play for me too, so I'm right there with you. Reed is my favorite sneaky low-owned play. Amin and Ayton are the two guys I just want leverage on in general. Mr. Torrin said SGA Jabari or Reeves Amin. What's your thought process here, Brandon?
Second side for me.
Yeah, same. Any thoughts on Okogie?
I thought about him because he had some decent games in preseason, but then I brought myself back to reality and reminded myself that we're no longer in preseason. So I'm very concerned about the amount of minutes he will see. So he's just somebody I really couldn't pull the trigger on. Not saying that he can't get a score that will be in the nuts, especially with him being 3,300. But with some of the other value we have, I just didn't force it. I am getting like 1% though.
Yeah, same. I have a little bit, but I'll probably be under the field. He's a viable dart throw. You're really hoping he just gets hot with one of his 1 to 3 minute runs. Not crazy on a 2-game slate. There's really no such thing as a crazy play on a 2-game slate. Are there any players who typically start the season slow? Interesting question.
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer.
Yeah, no one really comes to mind, but I'm probably blanking on it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, no one in particular comes to mind.
I mean, Aiton's always slow, so there's that. Like, there's plenty of guys who are just rarely good, but I can't think of anyone who just starts off slow and then kind of warms up.
I do know there's like a championship hangover narrative, which if you're into that thing, then I mean that's something you can run with. But outside of that, no one I'm too concerned with tonight.
Yeah, I've heard that a good amount too. People are like, what do they have to play for? Are they really going to go out and play hard? That's part of why you're seeing that Rocket spread get a little bit closer. It's closer to like 7 or 8 earlier today. Now it's closer to 6. I don't know. Personally, I think these OKC guys are legit. I think they'll take it seriously this season. We'll see. That's part of what early season NBA is about. If they go out there and look slow, could be wrong, but I think they'll play hard tonight. Let's see. Any love for LaRavia? I feel like I'm definitely butchering his name. How do you say it?
LaRavia? I think it's LaRavia. I could be wrong.
Okay. I'm over the field on him. How are you feeling about him?
Yeah, I'm over too. He's just cheap and should have a solid role off the bench. So I'm okay with most of the value guys on the Lakers, especially with LeBron out. That's the biggest piece because if he was playing, then a lot of these guys we're talking about, they wouldn't be as appealing as they are now. But yeah, LaRavia is for sure in play.
Mm-hmm. Jose said, is Caruso officially the starter? I don't believe we have an official starting lineup yet for the Thunder, right?
No, not yet.
Sweet. And then RJ said, did Kerr say Kuminga was going to start? If so, what do you think his minutes will be? I don't believe that's official. Yeah, I think it was just a report, right?
Leaning towards, but it's not official. But either way, like I don't see how he doesn't see at least 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if Kerr said he was starting, it wouldn't really mean much. Kerr is known to lie. It's really just a shot that he should be more involved, given the paycheck, given the contract, given the other guys are old as dirt. It just makes sense. Kaboom said, is there any projected ownership cap for NBA or only NFL? Only NFL. No cap for NBA. There's a few differences we can definitely talk about between the two sports, but process to me is definitely a little bit less in NBA. You can definitely have one for the NBA, but for me, I've found more success really just adjusting slate to slate, which can be tough for some people, but it's worked for me.
Me too.
Mr. 5 said, thoughts on going Trace at the center spot on DK? I don't think I've thought about that.
Can't do it. So they have Al Horford now. They're talking about starting Kuminga at center. They still have post. So when you factor in all 3 of those other guys, like I can't touch Trace tonight. Not saying that. I mean, it's Kerr, so anything can happen, but I just don't see it.
Nice. Greg said OKC is going to have their ring ceremony tonight with KD in the house. That's awkward. What could have been is what he'll have to think about. Maybe he'll get depressed, or I doubt it will motivate him. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy where we're like, oh, I got to show him off tonight. But maybe. Dixon said, Josiah and B-Dub, do y'all feel the peace of not having to worry about Anthony Davis getting hurt tonight? It's such a beautiful feeling. I love AD these days, not going to lie. I like seeing him on slates because he's almost always low owned, and we always play him, and he does well. It does burn us eventually every season. You just kind of know what's going to happen, but man, that guy's made me so much money. I can't hate him at this point. Buckeye said, how close to lock do you build your MME lineups? For me, I'm refreshing and running this pretty much up until lock, unless I really like what I have, which right now I feel pretty good about what I have. I'll have to look at the percentages a little bit closer just to make sure I don't feel like I'm missing anyone or no one disappeared on me. But if that all matches up, I'll stop. But on a normal slate, especially one like tomorrow, I'll just keep rerunning and running until just letting the DS update until pretty much the last minute. What's your kind of like philosophy there, Brendan?
Yeah, nights like tonight, especially when we're not really waiting for any news, and I like where my exposures are. I won't run it as close to lock as I normally do. Now tomorrow's slate, I mean, always a good tip to put like an early submission in, but I typically like up until a few minutes before lock, just make sure I have the most up to date information, and especially if there's a lot of news, late news, I'll say, just making sure my exposures are right where they are. Usually, minutes before lock, I'll upload. But yeah, tonight's kind of a chill night, so I'll probably do it a bit earlier.
2 games. You don't have to go that hard yet. Like I said, tomorrow, different story.
Tomorrow's gonna be crazy, so everybody fasten your seatbelt for that one.
Yeah, I'm
There's
even worried
so
about
many guys missing. So many guys.
I don't even know how we're gonna do this show tomorrow. Like 12 games is ludicrous. We're just gonna have to skip a few. It's just honestly gonna be the way it is. Like, hey, we don't like anybody here, or everyone's a good fit. I don't know. We'll see. Music City Mike said Ayton or Reeves. 1 for 1 is Reeves for me. What about you?
Reeves is a core play for me.
Yep. Al Horford or Terry Eason? Oh God. It's Eason for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Alejandro said SGA and Luka in the same lineup as possible. Yeah, it's possible.
It is possible for sure. I have a few of those in my 150.
Yeah. I don't have as many as I did in this most recent run, but basically the moral of the story is you're going to have a lot of really shitty guys. Like, you have Luka, SGA, and everyone else will be below 5,500 or 6K. So you can like see, I'm looking at some of these lines. I don't hate them, honestly. That's part of why I'm not going to make a rule or anything to avoid it. It's just a lot of risk, and you need both of those guys to go off, which I'm not going to say rarely happens, but usually it rarely happens, I feel like. What do you think?
About 20% of my Luka lines have SGA, so out of my 150, so don't hate it.
And I have 15% of him because all I have is Luka. Glasses AD gonna be a problem. I believe it. Like, I'm not mad at AD.
He put on some weight too this offseason.
He did. He said he does this every year, though. He said he always gains weight and then he loses it, the opposite of everybody else, which is interesting. I saw someone else in the comments say they want Luka to stay fat because there needs to be more fat representation in the NBA. And they use Zion. They're like, Zion can't be alone. Zion's gotten a little thin, man.
I was about to say Zion is slim now too.
One thing I'll add, y'all. One thing to focus on with NBA DFS, you don't have to watch the games, but I strongly recommend watching the games, even if it's just the fourth quarter, just so you can understand more about how these teams utilize these players. You can kind of see the usage rates live. To me, that's where I've always found the most edge in DFS is just watching the games and then following the numbers. But if the numbers don't make sense to me because I didn't see that result on the court, adjust to it. So, and I think you follow that same philosophy, right, Brandon?
Yeah, that's kind of when a lot of people ask me, like, how do I get on guys that I like, especially the lower owned guys? Like, I'm just like, NBA is just my favorite sport. Like, I watch. I mean, usually have league pass, and the way my setup is, I can watch like 4 different games. So I like watch as many as I can. Yeah, like you said, just watching, seeing how rotations work.
Matchups, like teams that do well against certain types of bigs.
See
like,
who plays fast, stuff like that. Like just little tidbits like that. It helps tremendously in DFS.
Yep. Kevin said, Wagwan. I saw my guy, Kaboom, also put this in the comments earlier, but I haven't gotten back to it yet. Gabe Vincent for the takedown. I wish Gabe Vincent was lower owned.
Yeah, me too.
But Kevin, definitely could happen. I think we both have a decent amount of exposure to him. Yeah, Dixon has glasses now. Knew him. Who knows? Ayton or Reeves and single entry. It's going to be Reeves. Higher floor.
Yep.
And probably ceiling too. Mr. 5 said thoughts on Dalton with Reeves. I didn't get to Dalton. Did you?
No. I'm just concerned about his minutes, especially with Adam LaRavia as a bench piece too. Um, Out of all the value guys, he's probably going to get the fewest minutes out of everybody. Yep. Unless he just like his first rotation, he just starts knocking threes down like crazy and JJ pivots to him. That's the only way I can see him being valuable tonight.
Thomas Dye, good to see you, man. Ayton is scary, but we like pain. Hey, Thomas, this is the first show. We can't scare people away yet. Can't scare them away yet. But you get it. You get it. Let's see here. Yep, Darius, you're right. We play him until we shouldn't anymore. You can usually see it coming too. He just starts to look a little bit softer. Whatever, it's gonna be a good year. Everyone's talking about Davis. Dixon said, how many minutes are we projecting for Smart? Did we skip him? I forced some exposure to him to make sure he's in the mix, but not someone I am going too crazy for, just because we don't really know what this rotation is going to look like yet. We have him projected for 22 minutes currently.
Yeah, I was going to say bare minimum. I don't see him going below 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Andrew said, who's the second leading scorer for OKC tonight? What are your thoughts, Brandon?
That's a great question. I mean, on paper, it's hard not to say Chet, although I'm not the biggest fan of Chet tonight, just due to the matchup.
And I saw the comments, y'all. I don't hate Chet. I know he's a great player. It's just you see it typically. He just really does better in softer matchups, which is the case for most guys. But for superstars, a lot of them can kind of overcome that, or at least have a decent game. Sometimes Chet just goes ghost, which means he'll probably go off tonight now. Jose said, who has the best floor and ceiling between Caruso and Wiggins? Aaron Wiggins isn't bad.
Yeah. But he's somebody else who has smashed many games last season. There was like a stretch where a bunch of these bench guys got a lot of games and started. Wiggins is definitely one of those guys who can break a slate. Minutes wise, I would say Wiggins is probably safer, but when it comes to upside, especially if this game is competitive, because I feel like that's when Caruso usually has his better games, is in a competitive game. I feel like Caruso might slightly have the edge there just because of the way he plays. And I mean, this whole team is pretty good on defense, but Caruso just brings that energy. He's different. So.
Yeah, it's so crazy how last year has really started to impact how I see Caruso. That playoff run, I just see him in a totally different light now. He was just like that defensive guy who might get a little hot and play some old school basketball, but that playoff run last year, he was a different man out there, just shooting threes, doing everything for this team. But you can add Lou Dort in this conversation too. I would say they're pretty similar. I would say Caruso has the better floor. No, I mean, honestly, there's no real answer here. Yeah. They're all risky.
It's honestly almost a coin flip. I guess.
If you want to know who I like more, I have more exposure to Caruso, so I'll trust the DS there. But you could easily say Wiggins there as well.
Wiggins is if you're playing FanDuel, I do love Wiggins even more over there because compared to 5K on DK, he's only 3,900 on FanDuel, so I do like him quite a bit over there.
Music City said, in NBA, especially on the 2-game slate, how important is ownership? Do you have a take here? If not, I have some thoughts.
I mean, very important because, of course, with it only being 2 games, ownerships are way higher. So it's always nice to find those couple like high-owned guys to maybe go under or fade. And if you get that right, you'll be sitting in a pretty spot. And then there's guys like we touched on, like Reed Shepherd, only 5% on a 2-game slate. And that's just because I think people are afraid of the unknown, but if you followed him this offseason, you know what potential he has. So in that kind of situation where somebody's that low owned and you just have that really strong gut feeling, definitely pull that trigger. Because if we're right on him, again, we're going to be sitting pretty tonight. So, yeah, ownership is so huge tonight.
Darius, thank you for the super chat. And yeah, let's take our pockets to the promised land this year. This is going to be a good year, man. Just like I said for NFL, and I know it's been questionable for some people, but we've already had a Millie takedown. Like, it's going to be a good year for NBA too. And I can't wait. Let's see. There was a question I saw that I wanted to talk about, but oh yeah, how important is ownership? To me, is almost like asking how important is salary and pricing. It's something you should take into consideration, but it's
Every
not
slate.
everything. Like, don't let a chalky SGA or a chalky Luca make you think like, oh, I should try fading them. I mean, you definitely can. That's a viable strategy, but it's not something that I'm going to force just because their ownership is high. It's just something you take into consideration, and it's what helped me make the. So a good example is let's see, the Rockets, you use Shepard, and then we have Vincent. Gabe Vincent is still like a very solid play at 3,500. I have exposure to him, but because he's 20% owned and chalky on a 2-game slate, I'm not going to force that. Like, we haven't seen anything. I'll just trust the DS and get however much exposure it gives me. But then a guy like Reed Shepard, who to me is like in a similar spot, tougher matchup for sure, and he's more expensive. He's low owned, but I feel like he has more upside. And so that's why I'm going to force exposure to him and not a guy like Gabe Vincent, even though I see them as semi-comparable plays where you're just kind of trying to make a prediction on who's going to go off. So like that's how I would think about it instead of vice versa, like the other way.
Yep.
No chat for me tonight. What about you, Brandon? Or maybe do I have any?
My last run I had 1% chat, which is a bit scary, but that's just the way lines are going tonight. So
2-game slate. I can't play scared. Sorry, y'all. If you're looking for you can play whoever you want, or not whoever you want, but we're just gonna tell you all that you can play everybody. Like you can literally play everybody. They're viable. It's just we're not. So we're just literally telling you what we're doing, for better or worse. Dixon said AD found all that weight that Zion and Luka lost. That's wild, but low key it looked like it. Thomas, what's up, man? Tattoo said, now you're pushing your luck, asking to have to watch games. I know. It's a crime.
Oh.
Crime.
Hey, guess what?
What?
We got an underdog update.
What happened?
Kuminga will start.
Damn, there you go. But ownership's gonna be higher now.
His ownership is about to jump.
And that's why I refresh over and over again, because projection will probably be higher. I think his projection's already a little bit higher because he's pushing 41% for me right now. So it might not change that much for those of you who are DFS Army members. You're already using the domination station. I do think being around 40 is still probably the right call, but we'll have to keep a close eye on what changes there. He might end up becoming a core player for everybody. Who knows? But if you want to keep track of that, join DFS Army. Promo code NBA Flash for a 25% discount there. Yo Mama said, what's y'all's take on Smart tonight? Smart play at 4,300. What were your thoughts on Smart, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm definitely fine with Smart. He should be a key guy off the bench tonight. And I mentioned it earlier, but he can potentially outplay Gabe Vincent if he's not playing up to par too. So Marcus Smart is definitely a viable play tonight.
Nice. D-Man, welcome. Thank you for joining. Excited to have you in the Discord. You'll see in the Discord, there's quite a few coaches who have a few different styles. Like if you want just like a do it and set it, Scott in the Discord, he can definitely hook you up with that. If you want a little bit more involvement and trying to like force players that you feel like are going to do well tonight, then you can kind of follow what Brandon and I did today. But general settings are tournament mode. Nothing changes. We only use one unique and we use 0% randomization, then however many lineups you want to make. So that's what we do. And then we make those manual adjustments ourselves. But you can definitely reach out in the Discord or just like look and see. You'll see a lot of different approaches there as well. Whatever one you feel like fits your style. I've seen a lot of people have success like trying the more like, hey, just do it and set it. And then as they get more comfortable with NBA, they can start to adjust a bit more like we do to kind of force more exposure to those lower owned guys to like really win like a big takedown. Alexander, what's up, man? Eason and Santos or Caruso and Bandy? Ooh,
Definitely that second side. You lost me at Santos. I don't mind Eason, but I don't think I can trust Santos tonight.
Yeah, true. Dixon leads to people punching their TVs and knitting a new one, especially when it's a blowout. blowouts are terrible in the NBA. That's also part of why I force some exposure to some of those cheaper guys. You just never know how these games are going to run. And on a 2-game slate, I never play for a blowout narrative, but I'm taking shots on those cheapies just a little bit more aggressively because there's that chance for sure. So I won't be completely screwed if a game blows out and those guys see more run. All right, we'll keep your secret. Yeah, we're with you on Dalton. Let's see. Uh-oh, he might, Dixon. Be careful. Thoughts on Adams on FanDuel? He's 3,900. I know you're playing on FanDuel tonight, Brandon. Are you seeing a lot of Adams?
Not really. I mean, if you're doing one line, I don't think I could do it. Just because I like Hartenstein so much. But yeah, definitely if you're doing more than one line, I don't mind taking shots. It's just so hard with that one center spot.
Yeah. The one center spot makes things a lot tougher,
Yeah.
whereas on FanDuel, like, you can play Adams and Hartenstein and you're feeling fine about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good question, Mike. Definitely late hammers needed tonight. Jay, you're on it always, but we are both with you on this one. Definitely focusing on the later game over the first one. It's going to be Aaron Wiggins. I like Aaron Wiggins. Over the field on him or close to it. So I'm with you, Andrew.
Yep.
How about Uncle Jeff? Who's he talking
about? What's his name on Houston? Jeff Green, I think.
Oh God, when I saw, I looked at Jeff Green a little bit, and it was the easiest hell no in my life.
Yeah, I don't think I can go there.
If he's seeing the court tonight, something has gone terrible for this team. He might be out there for a little bit, but he's not gonna be in my lines. For showdown late game, is there any other option at captain other than Luka? Are you playing the showdown tonight, Brandon? Have you given?
No, I was gonna say I haven't even looked at showdown, so I don't want to even guess. But our guy TK, if you are a member, you know how good he is with showdown. So he'll definitely have his sheet up and drop some gems there.
Yeah, TK is the go at showdowns. I remember I used to compete against him all the time. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then I was like, oh, DFS Army coach. That explains a lot. My short answer, again, everything comes down to pricing for me in showdowns and just what can make sense, or kind of like how can I have like the best floor ceiling combination. And I just don't know the price tags for those guys, so I can't be too much help there. Sorry, Dixon. Yo, mama. Yeah, Dort is always scary. But I live for the scary plays. So that whole situation is a bit of a shit show, so I'm not going too crazy, but I did force some exposure to him. So many of these guys on the Lakers and Thunder and Warriors, these are teams I typically don't love seeing on a slate because they just have so many bodies that can randomly go off. All right, 5K or lower power forward on FanDuel. Do you have one that you like, Brandon?
1 second. Power forward. 5K or lower. Probably, if you want to go right at 5K, Jabari Smith. If you want to go lower and save some salary for another piece, Aaron Wiggins for sure.
Yeah, I can tell it's day one because y'all have a lot of energy. Usually we run out of questions and I'm like, all right, y'all, we're just gonna call it a day. But there's a ton more. We'll probably go for like maybe 3 to 5 more minutes here. Buckeye said, how much read should I try for in 20 max? Roughly the same as you all do in 150. Yeah, honestly, my 20 max and 150 max strategy doesn't really change at all. The only difference is how many lines I have. Sometimes I'll go a little bit higher on some of the men's just to be a little bit more aggressive. But I think 15 to 20% read isn't crazy in 20 max. It's definitely a lot scarier. And you're feeling some kind of way if he bombs. But if he crushes it, I think 20% still putting you in a really good spot.
I'm still good with 20% and 20 max.
Mm-hmm. That's basically 4 lineups right there for you. That's not bad. Let's see. Henny, you got to join. I can't tell you all the projected minutes for everybody. Dixon said, so they replaced the TNT guys with Vince. Melo and T-Mac. Well, apparently the show, the TNT guys will still be around on ESPN every once in a blue moon.
Yeah, they're covering on NBC.
Oh, NBC. Yeah. Vince
These
Carter,
guys,
Melo, and those guys are NBC. Should be interesting. I like the crew. I like the guys.
Me too.
But let's see if we turn on them by the end of the season. I feel like that's what happens. Everyone's like, oh, this is such a good idea. I love these guys. And then you're like, I can't stand them anymore. Yeah, yo, Mom, that's a great point. Like, these 2-game slates can be gross. You just got to take chances to try and get a takedown. Boom or bust. Like, this is not for the faint of heart. Tilting will start early and often today. I already know it. It's just the way it is. Beat up. Who's that guy you really liked for a small field single entry? You remember?
I mean, small field, you don't typically have to get too crazy, but I'm just going to keep saying his name, Reed Shepard.
Reed. Oh, man, if he bombs, we're going to get so much hate.
Don't at me if he bombs, but...
Hey, you can at me if he bombs.
If he smashes.
This is a play I would do every time.
Yeah.
Like, this is just part of the process. Is... OKC backup Jay Williams expected to play. Minutes projected. I won't tell you minutes projected, but Jalen Williams is not playing, but Jalen Williams is. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, he's playing. Jay with a Y. Yep. He's playing. If you see the projections, you see it. I'm not going to tell you.
Yep. If you saw the show earlier, he is another sneaky guy that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Caruso for single entry. Yeah, he's fine for single entry.
Yep, good with that.
Yeah, Kuminga starting. We love it. Let's see. Thanks, guys. Come down on that season. Yeah, that season pass. Like, pricing for the NBA is getting ridiculous right now. They're like almost begging people to, go a roundabout way for stuff.
Let me see if I can find that screenshot. Uppers posted a screenshot in the chat. I think it's if you bet like a $20 same game parlay, they'll give you 3 months free on League Pass.
Yeah, that's nice.
On DraftKings.
Alejandro, I am playing Curry. I put a 20% min on him. Not over the field, but I just wanted him to show up.
Yeah, I won't have as much Curry on DraftKings, but I do like him quite a bit on FanDuel just because I feel like he's too cheap over there.
Do you think we're missing something on AJ Mitchell, like with his ownership so high?
I mean, he should be another solid piece off the bench. It's just so hard to determine like which one of these bench guys is going to smash. So I'm okay with being close to the field on it. I think I'm a little under, but I have no issues with him either.
Oh, okay. You're a little under the field. All right.
Let me double check that. Okay, yeah, no, I'm way under the field.
Yeah, I'm at 5%. I was like, oh.
I thought it was higher, but 2% on him. So
yeah,
I don't feel confident enough to force more of him, to be honest.
Yeah, like the other spots, like Reed and the other guys, I can find a reason for why it could happen. AJ, I just need to see it first. It wouldn't, like, it's not the craziest thing. You can take a shot on him. He's just not going to be a priority for me. I just like some of the other value plays a little bit more. We talked about Okogie, Butler, and Kuminga together, a mistake. I just don't love Butler too much, but if you like Butler, I think it's fine. What do you think, Brandon? You like him a bit more.
Yeah, I'm actually not the biggest fan of Butler tonight, but on a 2-gamer is not something I would talk you out of. I don't think that's crazy by any means.
Man, I loved Jamal Crawford when he played on the Clippers. Like, that was just my guy. Let's see. All right, y'all. We're going to call it quits here. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out in the Discord. If not, we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for that massive slate. Hopefully, we're celebrating. If not, we'll bounce back. Good luck tonight, y'all. Peace out.